So, das Video ist von Exile. Ich kenne ihn actually nicht. Aber der hat sehr viele Abonnenten. Und sein Titel ist The Rank 1 Player Who Trolls. League Secret Goat. So. Kann ich schon vorstellen, um wen es geht? Das ist ein Koreaner. Der Tarek Toplane-Typ, ja, der ist es. Eddie. Genau. Er wird über Eddie reden.
September 12th, 2015 was a very important day in the history of this game. This is the day that the biggest League of Legends YouTuber of all time decided to quit making videos about the game. And something that is rather comical about it is that this is the most viewed video about League from an individual YouTuber. You know, a video about how the game sucks and he's quitting. Look, even though I've made videos in the past that don't always paint it in the best light, a reasonable question that you might have is how come I haven't made a video like this? Why haven't I quit League like so many others? And I think the biggest reason is to look at Donkey himself. Remember when he said this in his video?
My appreciation for this game is waning all the time.
For me, despite all other issues, my appreciation for this game has not depleted. And that's why I'm still here. My interest in high-level play, my respect for the game's best players, it's all still there. And I'm still intrigued watching the best one-tricks and studying pros. Even on the days in which solo queue has completely ruined my mental, I can still wake up the next morning and watch VODs of Korean Challenger and Chinese Super Server players. It's a part of my daily routine. I have nothing but a great deal of respect for players who push the boundaries of the game, break the meta, and perfect strategies, which is why today, it's finally time to discuss League's secret GOAT, a player who many of you may have never heard of before. And those of you who do know him, understand just how special and interesting he really is. Meet Addy, League's most successful troll, a guy who has held Korean Challenger for a while now, while never taking Flash. This year, he reached rank 1 on the most competitive server in the world, doing things nobody else has ever done. Roaming Recon top with the support item, Flashless Shen, Taric top in jungle, Thresh top lane with lethal tempo. In some games, he averages as little as 3 CS per minute and still finds a way to beat the best players in the world. So how does he do it? And what can we learn from a player that another content creator previously called the best player he's ever seen?
He's legit trolling, okay? Legit trolling. He's smurfing on everybody. He's cracked.
This video is sponsored by Lootboy. Lootboy, good rewards for Legends meta, forces you to play the best champions in the game. And my most recent video is about this very topic. So if that truly is the case, what's so different about Addy? What is he able to do that allows him to break the meta? I think that first and foremost, before anything about his playstyle, champion pool, build choices, or decision-making, he does one thing extremely well. He's got that monk mental. Addy doesn't stream consistently.
Okay, also bevor wir jetzt hier reingehen, möchte ich kurz meinen Teil sagen. Also ich kenne Addy, ne? Ich habe mit dem irgendwie 10, 20 Mal gespielt, als ich in Korea war. Ich liebe seinen Spielstil, weil er komplett, also das ist einfach mal was Neues, mal was Erfrischendes. Und er ist auch sehr gut. Und er ist auch, ich glaube, also ich würde auch sagen, er ist verdient Challenger. Er hat aber jetzt Rang 1 in der Early Season geschafft, ne? Der hat einfach Early Season, so wie alle anderen auch, so wie diese ganzen Masterspieler, er hat einfach 20 Games am Tag gerusht und war einfach schneller Rang 1 als alle anderen. Ne? Das bedeutet nicht, dass er der beste Spieler Koreas ist. Oder so. Also da fehlt ein bisschen Kontext, weil der hat am Anfang einfach, er hat einfach Games gespammt, ne? Und jeder Challenger-Spieler, der am Anfang Games spammt, wird Rank 1. Ist immer so. Immer so. Trotzdem insane mit dem Spielstil, ja. Genau. Und jetzt, dieser Exile, der interpretiert jetzt halt viele Dinge, die sehr, keine Ahnung, ich finde die einfach aus dem Nichts. Wenn man Rang 1 ist, dann ist man der beste Spieler, Punkt. Nein. Du musst Kontext haben.
So technically I don't have any proof that he never tilts or gets upset, and it would be understandable after grinding thousands of games that he still does get mad at the game, but it doesn't seem like he does. This factor alone gives Addy a massive advantage over so many of the weak-minded players. All of those times in which the bad mental players would threaten to troll games or actually do grief and give up, Addy never does. He genuinely seems like he has a good time playing League and he has fun in-game, which I don't think a lot of us can say.
Und das muss ich aber sagen, das sind so Sachen, die zieht er einfach raus, ne, aus nichts. Das sind einfach so, let's be friends forever. Aussagen. Ich weiß nicht, warum er das macht.
And have a massive ego about the laning phase. He knows that all that matters at the end is winning the game, destroying the Nexus. He knows that his typical setups are not lane focused, so it doesn't bother him if he goes down a bunch of CS or dies solo. Of course he's going to lose lane with the type of setup that he runs, and he doesn't let it get to him. When Addy first came into the limelight about 1.5 years ago, it resulted in quite the reaction.
Rank 1 ist Rank 1. Leute, nein, Rank 1 ist nicht Rank 1. Das versuche ich gerade zu erklären. Ne? Rank 1 ist nicht Rank 1. Ne, also stell dir vor, Season resettet. Ne? Jemand steht um 4 Uhr morgens auf, sobald die Server online gehen und spielt sich zuerst auf Master Elo. Der ist sonst Diamond 1 Tag. Ist er der beste Spieler des Servers? Nein. Okay. Also du brauchst natürlich Kontext, wann das Rang 1 ist. Am Anfang der Season ist das sehr einfach.
As to how this was even possible. This dude would average less than 5 CS per minute, very often would lose his lane by a significant amount, at a certain point stopped farming altogether and purchased the support item halfway through the game.
So, das ist eine Sache, die finde ich aber sehr genial. Muss ich sagen. Die finde ich absolut genial. Das, was Addy tut. Weil er ist actually super, super smart about the game. Er weiß manchmal, okay, meine Toplane CS mattern nicht. Und jetzt mattert es viel mehr, wenn man jetzt für Dragon. Also er ist einer der wenigen Spieler, die Level, also für Toplaner, die Level 4 zum Dragon roam. Ne, und droppt dafür CS Toplane. Das ist absolut cracked. Er wird Level 6 auf Shyvana und ultet Botlane, damit Botlane gesorgt wird. Er verliert Toplane auch genauso viel, aber er ultet einfach und gibt kein Shit. Ja. Und sein Champion ist weniger useful als der Gegner schon dann, aber dafür ist sein AD-Carry stärker. Seine Strategie ist sehr cracked, finde ich.
Never took Flash and played off-meta champions.
Und also das mit Flash und Ghost ist aber auch einfach nicht toll. Ne? Ghost ist in vielen Situationen aber besser als Flash.
All of that sounds like a recipe for disaster, but it wasn't, because he hit Korean Challenger. Every year, the Korean server averages somewhere between 3 to 5 million players. It has the best connection and the least amount of lag. This server attracts foreign players to come to South Korea and boot camp to practice.
Oh yeah.
Pros from other regions want to play on this server for the purposes of improving at the game. It is ultra competitive, and someone who seemingly doesn't even try that hard can outclimb pros who are paid millions to be good at League of Legends. The key to his success is all in the roams and the ganks.
Ja,
he would show incredibly good understanding
of map movement and vision
control.
Profitieren
These roams were on his weird timings that would help snowball his team. After Riot nerfed teleport before 14 minutes with the Unleash system, many top laners felt as though their map impact was significantly lower. But in the case of Addy, he would take the nerf in stride, and instead of using his TP to go bot, sometimes he would walk bot lane and successfully gank, and then use his teleport to go back top. Also, because Addy always takes Ghost, when he would TP to the tower on a pushing lane, sometimes he could just run the enemy down. He is the epitome of lose lane, win game, because he makes sure that his teammates are all doing well. In the mid game, he would reach a point where he'd mostly stop farming and pick up a support item. He'd end up completing the quest at about 25 minutes or so, and when doing that, his skill as a support player can also shine.
Dieses Play, by the way, ist absolut correct, ne? Dieses Play jetzt gerade ist absolut genius. Das ist absolut ein Genius Play.
25 minutes or so. Denial is fantastic.
Er hat einen Top-Push. Ich glaube, er hat sogar einen Kill bekommen, Top-Lane. Holt sich nur das Top-Watch für den Dive. Also, was absolut crazy ist. Also wirklich einfach nur krank. Und holt seinen Jungler, ne? Ich bin mir nicht genau sicher, wo der Gegner Jungler ist. Ist er Mitte? Ja. Die Gegner sind voll AP, ne? Also die denken sich, sie können nicht gedived werden. Es ist die 3. oder 4. Wave oder so, ich weiß gerade nicht. Aber sie sollten gleich Level 3 bekommen. Aber sie sind fast full life, ne? Wie können sie gedived werden?
Because he makes sure that his teammates are all doing well.
Das erwartet
In the
halt,
mid-game, he
also
would
das kann
reach a
man
point where
fast
he'd
nicht
mostly stop
predikten,
farming and pick up a support
wenn
item.
es nicht
He'd
Meta
end up
wird.
completing the quest at about 25 minutes or so, and when doing that, his skill as a support player can also
Minus
shine.
570 Gold,
His
ja,
vision
das ist
control
true,
and
aber
denial
also,
is fantastic, and he's a great team
also
fighter.
ja.
The champions he likes to
I
play
guess,
make
ja,
sense
das
with this
war ein teurer
playstyle.
Dive.
They are low-income, low-resource utility characters.
Aber sein Champ ist
There's
ja,
so much
also braucht
inherent
das ja nicht,
value
ne?
from a Taric, Gragas, Shyvana, and Galio. You really wouldn't be able to make this style work on something that requires a lot of resources, because typically those champions don't have the highest base damage. Regardless of how behind a Gragas is, he will always have a game-changing ultimate and excellent crowd control. Even though Thresh Top doesn't sound very good and probably shouldn't be able to get out of lane, Addy would make it work because Thresh hooks are always useful. An often
das Ähnlichkeit
less
mit Jenna
talked about
Top Lane? Ja, ist
reason
genau
for this
dasselbe.
working is also due to the tilt.
Es
Let's
ist
be
genau
honest
dasselbe.
here. When the enemy top laner walks into bot
Spielt
and
Utility
ganks your
Champion und
lane,
Roam halt.
even if your top laner goes up a lot of CS, there's still some emotional
Genau, nur in
damage
gut.
that's
Ich
been
würd
done.
auch sagen, nur in gut
Everybody
und
who
smart.
plays this game wants to
Also
smurf on
er
the
probiert
enemy
actually
and be
Ressourcen
strong.
trotzdem zu
It doesn't
maximieren.
feel good for the ego to get carried, and that doubles when Addy also doesn't have a good score or KDA. Addy is one of the few players that doesn't care if he's 1-6. He doesn't care about dealing the most damage or having a good score for the screenshots. He cares about killing the Nexus, and whatever he has to do to make that happen, he will. There's a lot of good breakdowns on YouTube from channels like Dobby and Today on the Super Server that cover his gameplay. If you're looking how to play this style, there is no better way to do that than watching these videos, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. Addy has also been covered by XP2, who is one of my favorite creators and the best source for everything Shen related. The reason that he talked about him is because this season, a new champion that Addy started playing is Shen, but we'll come back to this in a bit. His most played champion has always been Taric, and that's the champion that really put him on the map. This Taric top and jungle is deadly, and is clearly his most practiced pick. The supportive nature of Taric allows him to be, at minimum, a CC bot, and in the best situations, a disgusting combination of utility, tankiness, damage, and enchanter properties. When used well, Taric is one of League's strongest champions that nobody really plays. For years, Taric has been a secret OP laner with strong damage and half-decent wave clear. Addy will run down into bot lane, use the stun and the ultimate,
Das ist vielleicht einfach ein bisschen over the
and
top, ne?
dive bot. He
Das
loves
zu
to follow around with his
behaupten, dass
jungler
kein
and
guter
make
Laner
plays
ist.
with them. And one thing about Addy's playstyle is that he's never selfish. He will help laners push out waves, but doesn't purposefully steal cannon minions. He will always come to help at objective fights and clear vision. He will always choose to sack waves top and be there to assist and go to the Rift Heralds. I truly believe this is something that we can all learn from and should do more of. We could all be better teammates, and even when other players are raging out of their minds, that doesn't mean we have to stoop down to their level. When the Baus went to Korea, he encountered our friend Addy several times, and in one of my favorite clips, he went as far as saying that he believes Addy is not just a really good player, not just deserving of high elo, but in his words, Addy is the best player he's ever seen. His logic is airtight.
I don't think there's any doubt. If this guy puts even a single thought into his gameplay, he gets rank 1.
Und natürlich meinte er das Baus ernst, ne? Ja. Natürlich.
At the time, Baus believed.
Ja, und dieser Typ nimmt das einfach jetzt, das was Baus gesagt hat, nimmt er jetzt einfach beim Wort und, und gibt das jetzt als Fakt wieder.
That if Addy had put any thought into his gameplay, if he really tried and cared, he could get rank 1. And funny enough, it turns out he was right.
Ja,
Heading into
hat
this
reinzukommen, ja.
season, Addy probably set some goals for himself and really put his mind into League, and it paid off.
Yeah.
This year, he's accomplished 2 extremely impressive things. He was the first player to reach Challenger on the Korean ladder, which obviously meant that he was rank 1. And not only did Addy get to rank 1 and hold it for some time.
So, und dann dachte ich mir so, Alter, du verstehst das System nicht, Bro. Also dieses Video sagt, basically, er ist Rang 1, also er war der schnellste in Challenger, deswegen war er Rang 1 und das ist beeindruckend, weil er besser geworden ist. Und das ist ein Flawed Logic. Du wirst nicht Rang 1 am Anfang als Erster, indem du besser bist. Du wirst Rang 1, indem du fucking viel gamest. Ne? Und ja. Ist halt einfach ein bisschen wenig verstanden.
He's also been able to hold high Challenger. At the time of recording, he's been hovering around rank 5 to 15, and just as he's always done, he's doing it with the same off-meta and wacky builds. He is the king of innovation. What I find most interesting about the Taric this year is just how much of it has been jungle. In previous seasons, it seems like he tended to queue top
Spielen nicht alle viele Games, ja, aber manche spielen halt 20 und manche spielen 10. Und die 20 spielen, kriegen Rang 1.
Is coming in jungle. And the reason that's so impressive is because clearly, even though he's a god-tier Taric player, that shouldn't mean it has
und nach
to
einer Woche oder zwei holen sich halt die
game.
tatsächlich guten Rang 1 Spieler, die so Rang 1
jungle is very different from top and support. So the fact that Addy can play Taric at a rank 1 caliber level in 3 different roles means that his fundamental understanding of League
Rang
is
5
top
bis 15
tier.
mit solchen Picks ist
he
strong. Also du musst verstehen, dass wenn du Rang 1 bist und dann dich hältst und alle anderen besser werden, dann wirst du mit der Zeit sinken und dann Rang 5 bis 15 sein und immer weiter sinken, bis du irgendwann deinen tatsächlichen Platz in der Rangliste hast. Ja? Und also was mich stört, ist halt, dass er das so als Fakt darstellt, als wenn er der beste oder der 10. beste Spieler auf dem koreanischen Server wäre oder so. Und das ist halt einfach falsch.
Against the disgusting pre-nerf broken permaban-worthy Maokai? No problem. How about a 10 KDA and 71% kill participation? What about jungling in a full challenger lobby against the Sejuani matchup? A champion that players have abused for freelo all season? 17 KDA. Too easy. As I mentioned before, a relatively new pick.
Ich meine, sowas, was er jetzt gerade gesagt hat, würde nur jemand sagen, der einfach
this year
nicht so viel League of Legends kennt.
And his preferred setup looks like this. He likes to grab Radiant Virtue for his mythic,
but
before he does that, he likes to pick up a Sunfire Cape, sometimes even against magic damage. This is because the trading power, wave clear, and kill threat of a Sunfire Shen is surprisingly high. He also likes to pick up Bramble Vest when needed before his mythic. His favorite item across all of his champions.
Nein, Eddie ist gut, guys. Eddie ist gut. Er ist nicht so gut, wie dieses Video behauptet, aber er ist actually gut.
Sidekick. More teleports in Ghost means more plays. More ultimates means more game-changing roams, and more roams means more wins. When Addy cooks something up in the lab, you know it's going to be spicy. And this year, it's been his Pantheon tech. Other than some dedicated one-tricks,
ich glaube honestly, dass wir das jetzt nicht mehr anschauen.
A value or a purpose? Well, take it from the main man himself. This dude has reached the pinnacle of the game. He is a world-class player that grinds more than 10 hours a day every single day of his life, and even he can still have fun playing from time to time. Very often, you'll see Showmaker laughing, smiling, and enjoying the good parts of the game. Nobody is saying that you need to be perfect.
Okay, wissen, welche Elo der jetzt ist.
Just stop tilting. Obviously, it's difficult to do that, and this game is frustrating at times, but we all know that as a community of players, we can do better. We can have a little fun. And it's just a game after all. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to leave a like and tell me in the comments down below.
Er ist Rang 56. Mit Taric One-Trick. Er ist Rang... es ist schon sehr gut, ne? Es ist schon sehr gut. Das ist schon sehr, sehr gut, muss man sagen. Ist nicht Rang 1, aber ist schon sehr gut.